Okay, well, so do you mind giving us your name?
Not at all. My name is Jake Lowry. I'm from here in Portland, Maine.
Born and raised?
I was born in the northernmost county.
But you are a Mainer.
I'm a Mainer.
You're a
through and
Mainer,
through.
so you know you've been living here for how long? How old are you?
I'm 24.
24. So
Yeah.
you've seen some changes. You've seen the state going through like different. And what's your opinion? What's like the major problem? Because obviously the fact that you guys are protesting here, that means that there's at least a percentage of society pretty frustrated with what's happening statewide and nationwide and even worldwide.
Yeah, I think one thing about this is, everyone, well, 99% of us have become victims of this really entrenched system of, the collusion of corporations and our government. A lot of people don't feel represented. Of course, Maine has been feeling the impact of a not so great economy for much longer than the rest of, certain parts of the country. I think Portland is kind of a strange place to start because southern Maine and the rest of Maine are very different places.
Yes. Yeah, been up north as well.
Yeah, and of course, so they've lost a lot of industry over the past 20 years, and so it seems like there's even more support.
Is it all because of outsourcing, you think, or?
Well, yeah, that's part of it. We used to have, booming industries. I have family from Aroostook County that used to do potato farming, and that's not viable anymore.
Fishing industry, same
yes.
thing.
Yeah, my dad's from a mill town, Millinocket. They've, their mills have just steadily closed. They're trying to get one back up and running, but it's really hard for a lot of people to survive. And yeah, so I think there are a lot of Maine-specific problems, and we're actually sort of working on how to address those. Like, so to go from the national, worldwide problem to the local ones, and that's sort of how we're moving forward. Like getting in contact with community groups and bringing people into the fold and saying like, look, what should we be addressing here?
So have you tried to put some sort of like an official declaration which you wanted to present like the local authorities, or like in Augusta or here in Portland, or?
Yes, we're actually working on a list of principles as opposed to a list of demands, because demands imply a system that you trust to deliver those demands, and we don't have that. So we're working on establishing principles that state what we believe in. Like, for example, corporations are not people, and then we can go from there. We can present that as a statement and ask people if they're in solidarity with those principles.
So you said the corporations are not people, and I agree with you. So who do you think are the corporations? Who are those guys? Is there like a particular group, like a clan or something, trying to run this country for years? Or
I'm
bankers?
not.
I don't want to suggest anything, but I just
Sure.
What do you think? Because there's always you want to put a face behind the name, because just calling them corporations, you must have to have some sort of image. Who are those people?
Well, to me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like a lot of people will say, it's all orchestrated. They sit in one room together and try and figure it out. I really feel like, you have this financial arm of the private sector that's able to just take all this money and sort of gamble it away and make all these returns back, and they're not paying it back in, and they're able to keep that going because they also control mainstream media, and are able to sort of push the discourse in a certain direction that makes it viable. Well, they sort of have this way of directing people to vote against their own interests.
So basically, they have a very powerful tools to manipulate the
yes,
they want.
absolutely.
Through the media and through like the basically propaganda.
Yeah.
You can call it this way.
Absolutely.
So do you think that it's to the extent that this whole economic crisis we are going, do you think that it's to the extent that it could be artificially created? Just in a sense that, like, you know, like, let's say it happened in the future that through different crises, different groups of interest who were aware of it and knew about it ahead of time were able to make money on it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of the 99. Like I have no way of knowing that. But yeah, I think the power that they wield is disturbing, and I think they could
it's kind
generate
of scary,
a crisis.
right? You know, like
crisis.
you know, the crisis we are going through is just like, it's just sometimes I'm under the impression that the media one day can say, okay, we are in crisis, and then everybody stops buying stuff. You know?
Right.
And then the next day they will say we are coming out of the crisis, and people are gonna feel comfortable again to like buy goods and
Yeah.
you know, so it can be.
And we've seen that happen. I remember after 9/11, you know, there was this, you know, we had that small recession, and then George Bush was saying, you know, everything's great. What we need to do to fix this economy is go shopping, and it's crazy, I think, and gas prices are sort of similar. How, you know, they can sort of see what the demand is and fluctuate the prices. I forget the name of the organization that has the power.
Well, especially when you look at the profits they're still making,
Yeah.
say the oil companies. You know, so
Absolutely.
So you said you are part of the 99%, and I'm sure that everybody here is part of the 99%. So how would you describe like what's like the social diversity of the people here? I mean, like going like, you know, do you
Sure.
guys have mostly students or working people, or who?
Well, that's an interesting question. It started off, I think, with a lot of working students. Like, I am a student at the University of Southern Maine. I study English, and I have 2 part-time jobs. The original media team that started, they were all part of the philosophy symposium at USM. And since this thing has developed, we've gotten a lot of people who, you know, have been disenfranchised for so long. Like, we have folks who are homeless, you know, folks, and a lot of homeless shelters are closing actually right now in Maine. So it's really sort of gotten to this point where it's actually kind of a difficult problem to deal with, because the people who are here to, you know, for the philosophy of it, and to do working groups and to participate in the General Assemblies often don't have time, because, you know, they're being crushed by the same system they're trying to fight.
Do you guys have any like professional people who joined you in operations help? You know, like, let's say, because I'm sure that, like, especially with occupying this, I'm sure that this is kind of like in a gray area. Nobody knows if you guys can stay here or not. I've heard what's happening in different cities.
Yeah.
That, like, you know, like the local law enforcement authorities are trying to impose those rules on people. So have you received any like a legal support from some people who came to you and say, like, listen, I like what you are doing, and if you need any advice or something like that, I'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, we actually have had an amazing lawyer named John Branson since day one. He's been studying Portland and Maine state law just to clue us into like what we're within our power to do. Mm-hmm. And we've also had actually people who work at banks who've been part of our financial team who have to sort of, you know, they can't really give their name or appear on camera. Yeah. And that feels really
So
good
you have
to
some
me.
insiders on, let's say, on the other side.
Yeah.
On the system side. Okay. And so right now, do you feel that you guys are in any danger of like being removed from here or anything like that, or what's your status like?
I think the biggest problem we're facing right now actually is not the city or the police, because, you know, Portland is one of these small cities where, you know, police force is being cut. We actually
You're
have
pretty much right behind the police stations.
Yeah, yeah, and they've actually been pretty supportive thus far.
Cool.
But our biggest problem is the winter. You know, we just got a really early snowstorm. It's kind of a wake-up call, so we really have to.
So what's the long-term plan? Are you planning to stay here through the whole winter? Or?
That's an interesting question. We've been talking about it, and some of us are gung-ho about staying here. I am of the mind that we would be, you know, using a lot of resources to stay here and keep people safe, such as, you know, fuel, and we'd have to spend a lot of our financial resources to get good tents, where if we stopped the physical occupation just for the winter and focused really on like our plan of action, that to me would be fun.
And I understand that right now you guys don't have like a crystallized plan yet. You said you are working on some principles and you want to put it all together.
Yeah.
Do you think you will have an access to some local media to publicize it?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be doing a press release. You know, we don't even have to ask for the media.
Gotcha. They come to
Yeah.
you.
But I will say one more thing about the plans. Like the whole, I think in Maine, because it's so cold, we're putting in so much energy to a physical occupation that it's taking us a long time to get to the things like principles. And you know, when you have a community tent that gets blown down in a storm, and then you can't hold working group meetings the next day, it's like this is kind of like we don't want it to be all about survivalism. We want it to be about more.
It's not like making just a point that you're gonna be here.
Right. And I think even if we stop being here, like it's such a, the movement has developed even in 6 weeks' time into something so much bigger than us, and it's going to continue. You know.
So do you guys stay in like a touch with